My route into IT was somewhat non-traditional. I started in 1989 as a pensions inputting clerk. I'd been a barman, I'd been working on labouring, and I'd been working in a clothes shop, but I thought I wanted to be in the dry and warm. So I became a data processor. So I sat this aptitude test, passed it, and as a 19-year-old got a paying job as a programmer.
You mentioned that you were looking at enterprise architecture frameworks and you were unsatisfied with what you saw. So is that kind of why you decided to write a version of your own?
Yeah. So I spent a lot of time researching, going, okay, this is a solved problem. It must be. What is enterprise architecture? What is solutions architecture? And I just did a lot of research and quickly realized that there were inconsistencies across the board, that there were these very onerous frameworks, TOGAF, that sort of dictated one set of things. And I thought, well, I've never used that and I've still been able to deliver software. So how connected is this to the real things that I'm actually doing? So I sort of realized that there wasn't a consistent definition. So in writing the book, and certainly at Citi and at JP Morgan, I'd come up with a simple definition for architecture, because I think what's important is you level set and that everybody who's working at different levels of the organization has a consistent appreciation for what architecture means. In my definition, there are 3 levels. There's the enterprise architecture, which is really the sort of highest level. Think of the board supervisors, the regulators. This is how you get sponsorship for the activities that you need to do to fix the enterprise. When you're actually fixing the enterprise, you're at solutions architectures. This is when you're costing out, you're putting forward the things that you need to accomplish. And then there's software architecture, which is when you're actually building the solutions. And those 3 simple levels really align to the different audiences that the artifacts need to be targeting.
I can assume there's some tension between kind of negotiating the strategies and the architecture that's in place that you're inheriting and kind of your vision for that company. And you've had to do that kind of several times, moving from JP Morgan to Citibank. So do you have any advice for kind of negotiating that middle ground between those two, kind of the pre-state and where you want it to be?
When I'm moving into a new organization, I would first be very transparent about the things that I valued, the principles that I valued, and I'd always share that with my teams. To be fair, best will in the world, there's always a set of people in your organization who shouldn't be in your organization because they're not going to help you get where you are. They may be entrenched in the way things were in the past. So my rule of thumb was probably fire 40% of my leadership team and hire their replacements, which always made Mark very happy. Not everybody has to agree with you, but there has to be a degree of appropriate respect and challenge.
What isn't easy, but you make sound easy, is kind of communicating between all these lines. So you're communicating at this enterprise level, then you're communicating at this solutions level, then you're communicating at the software level. And to be able to do that, you kind of can't let skill fade creep in, because you need to be able to speak to the engineers on the ground. So can you kind of talk me through how you maintain that ability to speak to the software engineer as well as the board member?
You have to stay curious, and you have to, if you understand a problem space, you have to understand if there's a technology innovation that's going to accelerate your ability to deliver value to your business, in my case. So you had to look at those things. And then as you got more senior, I realized I had to balance the onboarding of those new technologies with the level of operational risk and cost that they were going to introduce. But nevertheless, to understand that, you have to understand and study and research and be relentlessly curious.